Hi everyone, I'm Hanna, and I'm excited that you've decided to take this course. My goal is to help you achieve more without working harder by doing way less. Look, at the end of the day, have you ever felt exhausted? Feeling like you've worked so hard yet you've accomplished nothing? You've wondered, what the hell have you done all day? Look, so many people have been in this same spot. Working hard, doing tasks, but also feeling like they're accomplishing nothing. They're struggling with their output. They feel like they're in a slump. They maybe feel like they're in a funk. At the end of the day, it's probably the result of a few things that we're going to cover throughout the course today. But it comes down to one thing, and it's about priorities. Look, the difference between being busy and being productive is priorities. The focus on what matters. The focus on the things that ultimately move the needle. That move your business, your career, your life forward. But we are very much guilty of focusing on tasks that don't provide value, that are a waste of time, a waste of our efforts, of our attention, of our energy, ultimately, I guess, of our money as well. So in today's course, I'm going to give you over 50 productivity tips and tricks that I've accumulated throughout my career that I use on a regular basis to help me move faster as a leader, as a business owner, with my teams, in my life, personally and professionally as well. Because at the end of the day, the most important resource that we have is one thing, and it's time. Time is the one resource that we can never, ever get back. Once time is gone, it's gone. And so I'm going to help you gain time back. I'm going to help you learn the importance of valuing your time and focusing on the right things that ultimately move the needle. It's going to be a lot that I'm going to throw at you in the next, I'd say, hour or so, but it's ultimately going to be the stuff that's going to help you become more effective, to help you take it to the next level, to level up, to become the person that you probably want to become. Because we really, truly want to live life on our terms. We want to do what we want on our terms. And when you gain time back, you can do that. So buckle up, get ready, make sure you're taking some notes because I'm going to be throwing a lot at you real quick to make sure you're getting maximum amount of value without any of the fluff. So let's go. Let's learn how to achieve more by doing way less. It's about working smarter, not harder. All right, let's kick things off. Ask yourself this one question. What's the one thing that is the most effective use of your time right now? For those rare times where you haven't scheduled out your time, if you ask yourself this question, you're going to be way more effective. It's ultimately going to help you prioritize and focus on the right tasks. Because whatever the answer is to that question, that is the one thing that you actually need to work on in your business, in your career. Every single day, you should be asking yourself that one question. And the answer to that one question is the task that you should do first. You should prioritize, and you should ultimately get done. Now, how do you know whether it is the one task that is so important? Well, it's the thing that has the biggest impact on your business, your career, your life, maybe moves you closer to your goals. Look at it this way. What's that one question that you can answer that if you answered it the right way, you know that that answer is going to justify your whole week? It's going to justify everything that you possibly do. That's the point of this question, to focus on the thing that actually is going to help move you forward. Now, when you start to move forward, you got to realize that there's a lot of tasks that you do throughout the course of the day, but some of them, they shouldn't take that long. There are probably tasks that could be done really quickly. So this is where I say follow the 2-minute rule. Now, the 2-minute rule means essentially that as soon as you figure out the tasks you need to do, and if it takes 2 minutes or less, just do it and get it done. Don't let it hang around and be something that you just don't actually take action on. Just get it done. There's no point having small tasks left around. You should also make sure you're focusing on short deadlines. Short deadlines are going to help you maintain focus at the end of the day. Far too much time is actually given to complete various tasks. When that happens, what takes place? Well, it's procrastination. If we procrastinate, that's going to do us no good. It's going to do our teams no good. It does our business and our careers no good. But when you find that you give yourself shorter deadlines, you can actually achieve what you're after because you're only delivering the necessities, the stuff that actually matters, not the extra fluff and things that don't actually provide value. But go with shorter deadlines wherever possible. Now, technology is something that I think is important for us to talk about when it comes to productivity, because far too many people are underutilizing technology. The best thing that you could possibly do, in my opinion, is make sure you're first investing in multiple monitors. Screen real estate matters. It matters so much. I've seen so many people struggle with their productivity, and I find out that they're only working on a laptop, one single screen. They might have multiple applications going, they're switching between tabs. Ultimately, they're just not as quick and as effective as they could be. They struggle with trying to navigate through their computer system. But if you've got multiple monitors, whether it's an extra one, maybe you've got a setup of 2, 3, 4 monitors, depending on the type of work that you do, you will find, ultimately, that you're more productive. Big believer also, whether you're working from home or in a in-person situation around other people, using noise-canceling headphones when it makes sense when you need to focus, because they'll help you block out the world around you. Whether it's listening to some of your favorite music or just sounds, it's a great way to make sure that you are blocking out the distractions that might take you away from being as effective as you possibly could be. As you think about some of the work that you're doing, though, and you are going to try and chase certain goals, it's really important to note that it's really hard to achieve goals when you look long term. So you got to break everything into 30-day cycles. It's a shorter time horizon to work with. Ultimately, it gives you the ability to get work done during the course of a month and feel like you're actually making progress on your bigger, more annual goals. And there's also less of a chance of something happening that kind of causes you to pivot, to stop, to maybe do some rework along the way, or have wasted effort, actually, too. So like I said earlier, like that important question that you need to kind of ask yourself is so vital, right? In terms of what's the most important thing that you need to focus on right now? Well, whatever that is, that's the thing you need to focus on first. That should be the first thing that you do during the course of the day. That should be the thing that is giving all of your attention right away. Not at the end of the day. Because if you wait to the end of the day, there's a good chance that something's going to pull you away from it or something's going to disrupt your plan. So focus on your most important task as soon as you're ready to go and start. You're going to hear various versions of this throughout, but you ultimately need to minimize your distractions, the notifications, the interruptions that happen. There is this stat that I've read that average person is only productive 2 hours and 53 minutes a day. I live in Canada. That stat is 1.5 hours, according to research that I've come across. So between 1.5 and 2 hours and 53 minutes, people are productive. One big reason why they're not productive is all the notifications, the interruptions that pop through as distractions. Whether it's their phone, whether it's just around their workspace in general, whether it's at home or in person, there's too many distractions. So you got to find a way to minimize them. Cut them out of your life. Go on do not disturb mode. Find a way to ultimately cut those down so you can actually be productive. Do the things that matter, that move the business, your career, your team forward. It's so important. As you're working through things, though, it's not effective to multitask, to go from, say, producing a content of, say, a podcast or shooting videos or shooting courses and just mixing between them. Shoot a bunch of content or a bunch of stuff all together. Batch your like-type tasks together. If you're setting things up, it'll be so much easier. It's also a lot of work to switch between things to get yourself focused in for the right zone. You're going to hear throughout this course a lot of things that tell you to stop doing. And so ultimately, this is an important point for you to realize you should have a stop list. Look, we all have to-do lists, things that we need to kind of get done. But a stop list is something that a lot of people don't think about. There are things that don't provide value anymore. There are tasks, there are projects. You know what? There's probably people that don't provide value in your lives anymore or in your career anymore. They need to be added to a list and they need to be either completely stopped or you need to delegate or outsource that to someone else. That's going to be critical and that's going to be important. As you are trying to become more effective, You need to become more organized. And one of the best ways you can do that is through a digital reorganization. Delete what you don't need. File away the stuff that maybe you just need to still keep, but you don't need to access regularly. Because the more organized you are, the easier it's going to be to search for something the next time you might need it as well. Again, you're trying to gain time back. And the more organized you are, the more time you're going to have available. Now, staying on the digital front, especially with technology, email is something that we all have to use. But how many people are using email rules to automatically filter certain emails to certain folders? Those folders are ones that like you can just store an email later on, or maybe it's ones that you don't need to check as often as your main inbox. Whether it's Google, whether it's Outlook, there are different ways that you can use these rules to help give yourself more organization. Ultimately, you need to find a way that's going to make it easy for you to find the emails that you need the right way. But there are some great YouTube videos that you could watch on email rules that'll help you become more effective. I always strive to make sure that I have 0 emails in my inboxes at the end of the week. Now, some people might be thinking that is impossible. I can tell you with full confidence, it is not impossible. Because if you use the right rules, if you strive to make sure you're focused on the right priorities, if you follow some other advice that I'm going to continue to go through, you can get to 0 inbox. And ultimately, you can feel more happier as a result. Less stressed, less anxious about starting the work week when it comes around Monday or whatever your day is, when you have less emails in your inbox. Because one thing you need to do is you need to unsubscribe and unfollow. Go through your social media accounts. Go through emails that you've gotten. What are the ones that you just automatically delete? Which ones don't you see value in anymore, and get rid of them? If they don't provide you value of any way, well, you don't need to follow them, and you don't need to be subscribed to their lists. Get off them, and that's one less thing for you to worry about. In every single email tool, there is a calendar. In the calendars that I maintain, I color code them. I color code certain meetings. Red alert to me is one where I know that if it's red, I have to bring the right level of energy, I can't be late, and I got to be prepared for that meeting. It is an important meeting that I'm going to be having. I have other colors that mean certain things. It gives me a good overview to know, like, who do I need to be? What's the version of Hanna that I ultimately need to be for those meetings as I move forward? Still staying with emails, and I think this also can apply to social media too. If you find yourself saying the same things over and over again, you can template a lot of your responses. You can have a canned response that maybe you can just send to somebody, copy and paste, or one that you can have 80% of the way done and you add some personalization to it to make it easier. But templating is a great way to ultimately save yourself some time. When you have emails come through and you don't have time to take any sort of action on them to immediately respond, what you can do is hit reply. And when you hit reply, it automatically creates a draft in your email inbox. That gives you a trigger to say, I need to do something with this. I need to reply to this person. So that every time you then are back in your email, you know, hey, I've got this draft that I need to complete and finish. A big believer also that email can be this distraction that can really pull people away from being effective, at least effective as they probably could or should be. So I strive to only check email a couple of times a day. I check it sometime in the morning, usually around, say, 9 or 10 o'clock, and I'll check it in the afternoon. Look, not every email you get is urgent, and it's certainly not important. Why do we then focus so much on just trying to focus on responding to every single email all the time that comes in? Give yourself a break. Schedule it when you need to look at your email. Prioritize it only a couple of times a day, not all the time. Staying again with technology, I've been asked a lot throughout my career, how am I able to maybe write certain reports so quickly or come up with certain types of content or talks or whatever I'm trying to do. And the secret that I'm sharing is that I dictate a lot of it. Well, I can type fast. Thinking and typing at the same time and then trying to make sure like grammatically it makes sense takes time. But I can actually just hit record in Microsoft Word. Or I can hit record on my phone and I can dictate my ideas. This is how I actually put this course together. As I dictated it, I was able to just like read it out and then come back and make some edits and tweaks to it. It saves you so much time and makes you ultimately more effective. I can put out a lot of content and a lot of resources, or I can build a lot of things by just dictating it. Because you can talk faster than you can type. But to help, you got to have this tool. I think this is one of the best tools I've ever had. It's Grammarly. Started with the free version, and I saw so much value in the free version that I upgraded to the premium. I've been on premium now for years, but punctuation, grammar, word choices, vocabulary enhancements, all these different ways that I can make my writing stronger, better, more effective, more professional, or adjust it to certain types of tonality that I'm looking for, the intention that I'm looking for, is so important. But it helps me personally and professionally. I use it every single day, all day long, because it helps me just make sure that the grammar is the way it should be. It is way more powerful than what you might find in say Microsoft Word in terms of their grammar and spelling check. It's way more powerful. So Grammarly, if you're not using it, you should be using it. It'll make you more productive. Blocking time is also important. Block off your calendar. There are times throughout the day you are more effective. Make sure you've got your tasks focused on the right times where you're focused and having energy at certain time of the day. Well, that's maybe the time you should have a certain type of meeting. I myself know that between, 3 o'clock and 7 o'clock, I am probably not effective. I'm not someone who should be in a meeting between 3 and 7 p.m. I'm having a hard time paying attention. I'm probably going to get hungry. I'm just overall useless. So I got to block off my time from certain types of meetings so I can be the best version of myself. I've learned this lesson throughout my career, that it's important to make sure that you're scheduling the time that you actually need. You have to take into account travel time or prep time before maybe doing certain tasks or meetings or anything that you're ultimately working on. Because if you don't give yourself enough time, you're going to be stressed, maybe frustrated, maybe angry, and it's going to help you be more effective if you just actually make sure you schedule the time that you actually need for something. When I talk about scheduling time, though, I also recommend to a lot of people I coach or to employees, build in buffer time where you do nothing. And that might sound weird for some people to hear that. Do nothing, but you need nothing time. You need time where you give yourself a break, where you give yourself time to think, to reflect, to plan and prepare. Ultimately, I think it's so vital and so important that you just have time in your calendar where you actually do nothing, because you can't work all the time. We don't live to work. We work to live. But you got to give yourself a break so you're more effective. Wherever possible, I theme my days as well. I've been doing this for many years now. A lot of leaders, entrepreneurs are doing this, where they theme their days. On Mondays, I focus on management tasks. On Tuesday, I'm focused on building products. On Wednesday, it's more marketing. On Thursday, it's sales. On Friday, I split between culture and content with the teams that I lead. It gives me this ability to actually have intentionality around what I'm doing each day. And as I train my team around how I operate and how I work, they know, okay, these are the days that we're going to maybe approach Chris to talk about content, as an example. So it's so important that, again, I theme it. I also theme my years. I have a theme for every single year with every team and every business that I've ever led over the last, I would say, 15 years of the last 20 that I've been really working. It's been helpful to align all of our actions and our goals as we move forward when you actually theme everything. Now, as you win, as you succeed, as you have accomplishments, you got to capture those. You got to document your wins. Now, you document your wins for a couple of reasons. One, it's also good just to look back at your wins to see how far you've come. Two, if you have a period where maybe you're going through a slump, maybe things aren't working out so well, you can go back and look at what you've accomplished, where you've won, and say, hey, I was really good here. I made an impact. I achieved this certain type of result. I'm not so bad. While things might not be so good right now, I know that they can be because I've done it before. The third reason, if you're looking to grow maybe within a business in your career or take on a new career, a new role, if you've got a success tracker, that is instant stuff that you can pull out for your resume or an interview to sell yourself on why you're successful. Because at the end of the day, it's your results that matter. Success trackers are so important to keep you being productive and effective. Now, burnout is a real thing. I believe that, again, we do not live to work. We work to live. You have to find a way to be balanced. And the only way you can do that is by establishing business hours. Establish a time that you're available and what you can do and when you can do it. But have that balance of being able to focus on life outside of work. This is the only time you're able to work on this, and maybe other times you're focused on hobby, family, side hustle, whatever it is. I said earlier about theming your year. What goes along with that is building a roadmap for the year. Plan as much in advance as possible. What are the goals you're trying to work towards on a quarterly basis? How do those break down monthly? What are you going to ultimately do? Well, the roadmap might never ultimately all be achieved because things happen. If you actually have a plan, it's going to make you more effective. You can't know where you're going to go unless you actually choose a direction first. You have to have a plan, and building a roadmap is part of that plan. Every once in a while, you also have to come back and take a look at your calendar. What worked? What didn't work? What should be changed? What meetings should come off? Who should I no longer meet with? Who should I meet with? Every quarter, I review my calendar top to bottom across the board, looking for ways to optimize it. Can I have certain meetings that maybe are an hour become half-hour meetings? Can I take half-hour meetings and turn into 15-minute meetings? Do I need to have certain meetings at all? A calendar review every once in a while, personally and professionally, can make a world of difference for you, saving you time and giving you energy back. You've probably heard a lot of people also say that you should pay yourself first when it comes to saving money. Same thing goes to time. You got to pay yourself first in terms of your time. Invest in yourself. Schedule time for personal development. Time that you can watch a course like this. You can listen to a podcast. You can read a book. You can go attend a course. Whatever it's going to be, you have to find ways that you can continue to grow. Because again, it's progress over perfection that really matters and makes a world of difference. Every once in a while, though, you got to step away from work. You got to take a break. This is a picture of me in Las Vegas. I've gone there quite a bit. It gives me a chance to refocus, be in a different spot than just working, from my home as an example. Be somewhere else, go and have some fun, take a break, come back refreshed, excited to take on the world, the challenges that you're facing, to achieve the goals that you need to do. You ultimately just need to kind of step away. And you'll come back more energized and ready to go. But when you are working, whether you're in person or kind of at a home office, you got to tidy up your workspace. I talked about digital reorganization. There's also something about the physical area of where you are. If you've got stuff all over your desk, if everything around you is clutter and a mess, you're not as focused. You're not going to be able to bring your best version of yourself to whatever you're trying to do. Declutter your area. Start your workday by cleaning things up. It's going to make you, again, more effective. Whether you're working in an office or you're working at home, make sure you're finding a way to get that sunlight. Get plenty of sunlight. Go for a walk. Get some exercise, or just enjoy being outside and getting some of that vitamin D. It's going to help make you happier. It's going to help make you more creative. It's also going to help you just be more energized to work as well. For me, when I talk about energy, I have to come back to music though again. You got to find sometimes the right playlist, or at least I do in my opinion. Some people can't work to music. I totally get that. Some people can only work to sounds. So that's okay. But at the end of the day, figuring out what kind of thing is going to keep you focused and moving in the right direction is going to be important. Again, we do not live to work. We work to live. With that in mind, if you have the ability, reduce your work hours. The 40-hour work week is honestly a thing of the past, or it should be. The 9 to 5, a lot of people want to leave, and many have. If you can find a way to reduce your hours that you actually do work, you'll be more effective. As I said earlier, the average person is only productive 2 hours and 53 minutes a day, which means you can probably afford to work less and achieve the same results. The problem is on the affordability, depending if you are paid salary or hourly. Hourly folks have a little bit of a challenge with it, but if you can have the right environment, or if you're a leader and you can create the right environment, it can make a world of difference. But if you are trying to work and you can control what you work on and when you work on it, organize your schedule really around your energy. Again, there are certain times of the day you're going to be more effective, and it's maybe better to be more creative or to have meetings with people and talk and coach or whatever it's going to be. Figure out your energy cycle. Some people are really great at night. Some people are really great in the morning. You got to do you at the end of the day. That's what matters, and that's what's important. I said it earlier, but I got to repeat it because I think it's important. Do that most critical task first. In the mornings, traditionally, people have more willpower. So therefore, you should probably make sure that when you do your most critical task, it is done in the morning if you can. Again, eliminate some of those distractions. That's going to help you to move forward. That 80-20 rule that so many people know about, the Pareto principle, it's also called that way. That 80% of your results stem from 20% of your actions. Identify the 20% of activities or people that create 80% of your revenue, your results, and double down on them. Seems like a long time ago, but many years ago in the car rental business, I took on a branch that was struggling. And it was struggling from a profitability perspective, it was struggling from a customer satisfaction perspective, it was basically losing money, and it was really bad. It was not a good branch to take on. And I looked and I realized that 80% of the revenue was coming from 20% of the accounts or the customers who are regular renters in the rental car business here. So I said, I'm just going to focus on these 20%. Why am I spending all this time and energy trying to focus on these other people? If I just maximize what we can do with the 20%, I think we'll be able to take off. Well, we did. A year later, we tripled our business. We went from only losing money to actually making money and being profitable. We had higher levels of engagement with our customers. They were happier from a customer satisfaction perspective. And we also realized we didn't have to work as hard by doing that. I actually reduced my team's hours, and we're able to actually achieve better results by going and focusing only on 20% of our customers instead of trying to focus on everybody. When it comes to energy, it's important to remember that you got to just work in short bursts. The human mind can only concentrate on so many things at once. And if it's one thing that you're trying to focus on and you're doing it for hours and hours on end, honestly, you're not going to be that effective. We've all been there, right? But if you work for a bit, then take a break, then work for a bit and take a break, it's going to help you in the long run. This is one that I honestly struggled with quite a bit throughout my career. Reducing perfectionism. Some people, myself included, thought that perfectionism was a plus. I'm going to go all in. I'm going to make the highest quality slides, or I'm going to make the highest quality pitches to senior leaders when I was in the corporate world. I spent so many countless hours on details that, honestly, I came to learn didn't matter. It didn't make a world of difference at all. Sometimes good enough is good enough. Sometimes getting it to, say, 75% good versus 100% is still the same effectiveness overall. If you try to be a perfectionist, you get hung up on minor issues that ultimately don't matter. What I'm trying to say here is that you gotta be just really intentional. So plan your day the night before. Think about what you're going to do before you ultimately do it. That helps you become more productive and effective. If you are someone who is commuting, try and maximize that time. I'm not trying to plug my podcast here as I say this, right? But you could listen to podcasts. You could watch courses or download the audio from courses. You could read a book while you're sitting on the subway, or listen to an audiobook if you're driving. I'm just saying, there are ways that you can actually use the time that you have as opposed to just spending it. It could be an opportunity. I was recently on a flight. While I was on the 4-hour flight home, I'm jotting notes and coming up with ideas of how to, move forward within my business. I'm using that time that I have as opposed to just sitting there and watching a movie. I'm trying to, again, maximize the time that I have so then I can have time back later on. But you don't have to do everything though also too. For a lot of business owners, leaders, entrepreneurs who are out there, it's important that we master the art of delegation. We don't have to do everything. I'm a control freak and I love to do everything. But it took me a while to realize that I don't have to and I shouldn't. It's actually a disservice to myself, my team, my customers. If I'm doing everything, I can outsource work to somebody else who's better suited for it. I can delegate to somebody else who should probably take something on. It's a question of looking at each task or project and seeing, do I need to do this? Are these the things that, let's say, a leader should do, a business owner should do? If the answer is no, then probably make sure you delegate that to somebody else. Coming back to your workspace, it's important to create a dedicated workspace. It's crucial if you work from home or you work remotely in some way. Because just sitting on the couch or sitting at the dinner table, it's not effective. It's probably not super comfortable. You're not going to easily be able to have your multiple monitors set up that we talked about. There's also power in like leaving your work in your workspace. So here I am in my office recording this course here at home. When I leave the room, the work stays here. It doesn't follow me to everything else that I do. I've trained a lot of people throughout my career, a lot of leaders. And I've also come to realize that a lot of leaders have analysis paralysis. They're afraid to make a decision. They're afraid to make the call. So I encourage everyone to try and make 60-second decisions if they can. Make as many decisions as possible. Go with your gut. Trust your instincts. You're going to be right more often than not. When you're wrong, it's a lesson to be learned. So the next time around, you can make the right decision. But like if you take a long time to make decisions, it drains your energy. And that's no good for anyone. Because as you start to make more of these decisions, it ultimately starts to help you create the right habits and the right routines for yourself. When you build those habits and those routines and you have to stop maybe thinking about it, it becomes easier. And it becomes easier, it's more repetitive. And yeah, maybe routine and repetition is not the right way to look at it, but you're trying to eliminate time being sucked away. And a routine and a habit and making the right decisions can help you, again, save time. In my career, I have seen a lot of stops and starts. A lot of things not get finished with teams that I've led or participated in or been born witness to. And when we do that, it's a waste of time and energy and money. So we got to finish things. If we start something, ideally we should be able to find a way to finish it. Schedule time. Give ourselves enough time to actually get the job done so it's not wasted effort. Nothing more demotivating than someone working on a project and it all be just being thrown out because maybe it took too long. So we have to find ways to have stuff that's delivered quickly, effectively, efficiently, which will require us scheduling the tasks out. Tasks will always expand to the time that you allot for them. So schedule them at a specific time with the right deadlines. Again, short deadlines, as I said earlier. Just make sure it's the right duration and make sure that it actually gets done. But if you're going to then sit down and do it certain tasks, you have to have everything you need to complete that task. There's a reason I put this picture on this slide of a puzzle and the piece kind of missing with it. Because you can't complete the puzzle unless you have all the pieces for it. The same thing goes with the work that we do, whether it's personally or professionally. If we don't have everything that we need, and we get to a certain point, we have to stop. And sometimes when we stop, that's going to cost us time, money, energy. We might lose people along the way when we have to stop because we weren't fully set up. It just takes, again, intentionality. I also, coming back to decisions, if you can reduce decision fatigue, that's going to be important, right? Some decisions need to be just no-brainers that you don't have to think about. Mark Zuckerberg, the creator of Facebook, pretty much wears the same clothes over and over again and eats a lot of the same food over and over again. He does this because he doesn't want to focus his energy on those decisions where he can focus on higher level decisions that actually move his business forward. Same thing needs to happen with us. We don't need to overthink what we choose to wear. That's a waste of our time. Talk about balance before. I'm going to reiterate it again. I said taking breaks. Well, how about you do this? You at least take one day a week away from business. If you're an entrepreneur, I know a business is your baby, but it's not healthy to focus on it all the time. You can't focus on it all the time, nor should you focus on it all the time. You have to relax your mind, and you have to find ways to avoid burnout. Getting started is critical, though, for anything that we do. Action is what matters. If you just think all the time and don't take action, it's a waste of time. It's a waste of energy. Ultimately, do something. Do anything. Get started. Sometimes it's going to require that you're going to fake it. The whole fake it till you make it, as much as I always say you want to be authentic and you want to be real, sometimes you're going to have to fake it. Maybe you're not excited about doing something. Maybe you have to fake being enthusiastic, that'll maybe make you become enthusiastic in time too. If you can get yourself pumped up and get yourself excited. It's going to help get you over a slump. Maybe it's going to motivate you to help get you going. It's going to require you sometimes to start small. Look, the first actions that we take, they don't have to be game-changing. They don't have to be significant. It's daunting to start something new, to try something new. But it starts with one step. It starts with something small sometimes to get that momentum going, to get you moving in the right direction. Even though you're starting small, you can think big, you can dream big. Have a big vision. Have something that you ultimately want to achieve and want to move toward to get you excited. You need to have something to look forward to. Every one of us need to have something that we look forward to. And it could be a big idea. It could be a big vision. It could be a big dream. And that's okay. And that's ultimately what you need. You don't have to do it alone, though. Get some help. Sometimes a task is easier if you have someone to work with. Maybe someone to partner with, someone to share the load with, someone that you could offer to help them back in return. If you can get some help, maybe a partner could help you with giving you some accountability when you most need it as well. Advice is critical and important too, because there are people who might be able to help you, who are further ahead of you in terms of maybe a task, a project, or certain thing you're trying to work on. Ask for the benefit of their experience. It's going to shrink the time horizon for you as well and speed up what you're able to do by asking others for advice. I've said the word intention before, and I got to say it again here. Ultimately, it comes down to just having a plan. You're going to try and do a little bit more each day while cutting out a lot of crap that's pulling you back. Getting rid of the distractions that don't help you. Maybe even having some difficult conversations and letting some people go in your lives that don't provide value anymore. If you want to have time back, you're going to have a plan of how you're going to attack this, of how you're going to get time back, how you're going to be able to spend it. No, better yet, invest it on the things that actually matter. So you're going to have to learn to say no. You don't need to say yes to everything. I've been so guilty of this throughout my career, and it's led me to moments where I've been burnt out, I've been stressed out, I've been frustrated, I've been angry, I've made then the wrong decisions, I've honestly been the type of person that I didn't want to be because I kept saying yes to everybody and I hated myself for doing it. Sometimes you got to say no. Could that lead to a confrontation? Perhaps. It depends on how you say it. But you don't want to get yourself burnt out. You don't want to burn out your team or other people that you work with by saying yes and committing to things that you can't deliver. Because when you say yes to something and you can't deliver on it, it's going to be a poor reflection on you. So sometimes you just got to learn how and when to say no. When things work out, though, on the opposite side of that, it's like rewarding yourself. Having micro rewards or some way that you can say, hey, I accomplished this task. I'm going to go now out for a nice dinner, or I'm going to go on this trip, or I'm going to go do something for somebody else and give back. You got to reinforce the positives when they happen. And when you do that, ultimately you're going to want to do it again and again and again. You got to do whatever it takes. Look, time is the most precious resource that you have. Once it's gone, it's gone. You can never get it back. If time is so precious, you got to do whatever it takes then to get time back for yourself. Maybe you have to temporarily work harder. I say temporarily to ultimately cut out some of the stuff that's holding you back. But 1 hour of action is going to outweigh 10 hours of just thinking about something. Be committed to doing what you need to do to set yourself up for success, but don't think that you need to hustle and grind your way there. You just have to be more effective. So that's it. I've gone through over 50 plus basically tips and hacks of how to become more productive and ultimately more effective. Some of it's mindset focused. Some of it we've talked about was technology focused. Some of it's been more on process. Some of it's more geared toward your life. Some of it's geared towards your personal and professional goals. Ultimately, congratulations. I hope that you have gotten some value out of what we've talked about here in the last 45 minutes. I hope that you've been able to realize that, hey, there are things that you can do differently. There are tweaks and adjustments that you can make. Everything that I shared here today is not hard. It might seem like a lot, but I do that because for some people, they know some of these. For some people, they just need to hear it as a reminder. And for some people, some of this is new. There's different types of people who are watching this course. And so I'm trying to appeal to a mix of everyone. For those who want to connect with me, who want to learn more about me, a couple different ways you can do that. So one of my companies that I have is called Evolving Management. It's for leaders, where I help them rethink and evolve their approach to managing. Focus a lot on employee experience, a lot on their own development, offering courses and coaching and content about how to become a game-changing leader, to ultimately be the type of leader that's authentic and real, that ultimately can have success. So if you're looking for information on that, evolvingmanagement.com, happy to connect. Also got my podcast. Every week, got new episodes of The Chris Hanna Show. It's available in all major directories like Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, etc. I'm helping people achieve more. And so I talk a lot about productivity. There's some life advice that I cover in there. Some interesting new topics that people are reaching out to as well that they want to hear more about. So you can always catch me on my weekly podcast. I do the podcast because I also speak. Love to speak. So whether it's facilitating workshops, training, keynote speeches, happy to connect and talk about ways that I can help people, again, achieve the results that they're looking for to improve their impact, their productivity, their performance. So if you want to follow me on social media, you can also do so. TikTok, Instagram, LinkedIn. The username is Chris Hanna Show. Again, the name of my podcast. So that's it for this course. I will just end with this and say that productivity is so important. Having a productive day is not about just doing a good job. There are many ways that you can become more productive. There's many ways that you can ultimately achieve the results that you want. But if you want to get out of a slump, you want to get out of a funk, you want to make every year your best year ever, it's going to take intentionality. It's going to take maybe making some tough choices, some decisions, and ultimately stopping some things that don't serve you. But if you take a lot of these tips, if you take them and put them into action, not just listen to it, but actually put them into action, you can gain time back. And again, time is the thing that we are all subject to, that is the equalizer. We all have 24 hours in the day, but we all want to live life on our terms, our way. You can get time back. You have the ability to do so. Again, you do not have to work more. You actually should work less, but you can achieve more when you do so.